Hi all and welcome to episode 50 of Plain Speaking Sanjiv. Today is 84 days since my first episode on April 8th, and I didn't really think that almost 3 months later we'd still be in lockdown or semi-lockdown, and things would be taking so long to return to normal. This is a tough period we're going through. But today I want to make the 50th episode positive and nice in that I want to recall 10 special memories of my years in Indian aviation. I've been here almost 6.5 years now. I came in November 2013. So my 10 special memories are 5 from SpiceJet and 5 from Vistara. So the very first special memory is from December 2013 when we celebrated Christmas on board of flights for the first time at SpiceJet. This was a very simple celebration. We had our crew wear little Santa hats and we had little decorations on the aircraft and we gave out Christmas cards. We also had the crew dressed up in Santa hats and with Christmas gifts, etc. On the cover of the Spice Route magazine. It was the first time that crew had featured as the cover subject, and that became a tradition for SpiceJet for the next 2 years, where we always had a frontline crew, pilots, engineers, etc. On the cover, because to customers, to most people, they are the airline. By doing this, we signaled to both internally to our staff and to our customers that SpiceJet was no longer the same old airline. It was changing into a new airline, which was much more crew friendly, customer friendly, and which was using innovation and differentiation in order to gain some attention and gain some positive PR for itself. So the impact it had both on customers and on our staff was very positive to see this bright, cheerful, colorful, new facet to the airline, and that started with Christmas 2013. The very next thing that we did following from Christmas, which was kind of like a dress rehearsal, was Holi in March 2014, where of course we had the famous in-flight Holi dance performances by supplementary crew. These were not the operating crew, who performed on a few of our flights. They danced to the tune of Balam Pichkari, and it was a huge hit. Of course, it also resulted in me getting a show cause letter from the DGCA, because this kind of thing had never happened in India before, even though it was pretty common in many other parts of the world. But all's well that ends well. We responded to the show cause notice. We explained to the DGCA all the precautions we had taken, and we answered all the questions in a satisfactory manner. So the show cause was removed, and in fact, eventually the DGCA gave us their approval to publish the official video of that holy dance, on YouTube. So all's well that ends well in that case. About a month later, we had our first 1 rupee sale, and again this was not the first time in India, but it was after several years after Air Deccan had first tried it, where we did it, and we did it really, on a grand scale. Our servers were clogged. We got about 10 or 15 times the regular number of bookings on that day, and I also got yet another show cause notice from the DGCA for pricing below cost. Again, we resolved that issue by explaining that we were pricing this in an intelligent manner, because most people who buy the 1 rupee fare are buying a return ticket, and the average fare we're getting is actually much more than the variable cost or the marginal cost of carrying that extra passenger, and that we had fences around the fare. You had to book 30, 60 or 90 days in advance, and this was excess inventory or distressed inventory that would otherwise have gone empty. The seat would have flown empty, which was being sold and generating revenue in excess of the cost of carrying that extra passenger. So once we explained that, all was fine with the DGCA. We also explained to the DGCA that if every seat had to be sold at above its cost, then no airline in the world would be making a loss, and airlines were loss making. The fact of the matter is that pricing is a function of demand and supply, and these kinds of sales, flash sales, 1 rupee sale, whatever you call it, is just an attempt to generate extra revenue by selling seats that would otherwise go empty, and is actually helping the airlines, not hurting them. And I think that's well known now. Stimulation sales, etc., have become very common, and they've all helped improve the revenue performance of airlines if done correctly. You don't discount at the right minute, at the last minute. You discount in advance, and you actually try to keep the fares high, hold them steady when you get closer to departure. That's the best way. That's the right way to do revenue management. Now, along with the holy dance and the 1 rupee sale, the other special memory, fourth special memory I have of SpiceJet is of course Red Chili, which was the aircraft in the special livery, where we had faces of crew on both sides of the aircraft, and with all our heart, which was a new marketing slogan, painted on the aircraft. This livery was done again to bring about some excitement and joy and motivation amongst the front line. It was the most photographed aircraft for the 2 years that the livery was on, and it also brought out to the world the new symbol of With All Our Heart, where a crew would also make the heart symbol with the hands, and again went towards projecting a new, friendly, different, interesting, exciting, cheerful spice jet. And during this process, I think, as it's been chronicled, we were managing to increase revenues, reduce costs, cut losses, even though, we're still a struggle. Fuel prices were still $140 a barrel, but things were on the right track. And this is a very, very special memory I have, actually. And the last special memory, of course, I have is of staff, frontline staff, not just the crew, who never gave up on SpiceJet, even during our worst period, the worst times we had when fuelers had stopped fueling for a day, etc. The staff never gave up hope. They kept the faith. They kept their smiles. They kept the service. And I remember that there was an instruction from the then promoter, Mr. Maran, that whatever happens, pay the staff. But there were a couple of months when the staff salaries were delayed by about 2, maybe maximum was 3 weeks. And that came out, of course, in the papers, because there are always some people who like to, paint doom and gloom. And when the salary was delayed by a couple of weeks, there were some papers that made a huge hue and cry about that. And so some of our crew used to be asked on the flight, have you been paid a salary yet? And some of them actually said, yes, we have, when they hadn't, because they did not want to embarrass themselves or the company, and because they kept the faith and they wanted to do the best without washing the dirty linen in public. All's well that ends well. We all know that SpiceJet managed to survive, changed ownership, turned around, and it would never have happened if the staff and the crew had not kept the faith. So 5 special memories of SpiceJet. Coming to Vistara, the first special memory of Vistara, of course, is our brand campaign with Deepika Padukone and with her little mini-me, little Deepika, who was a child model called Dhyana Madan. I think the entire storyline of Deepika, the real Deepika and the little Deepika, was very endearing. It brought to the world a feeling that Vistara was different, Vistara was special, and the attributes that Deepika brought to the brand are the attributes that we wanted to really project, that we were a very classy parentage, just like Deepika. Vistara was a classy parentage. We were warm, friendly, approachable, yet everything we did with class. And those were the attributes that we felt were in common with Deepika Padukone. And when I first met her during the first shoot, she actually said that she herself had told her brand management that she would love to be associated with Vistara, because she too felt that many of the attributes that she saw at Vistara when she flew Vistara suited her personality type and how she projected herself to the world. So it was a match made in heaven in some cases, in many ways. That brand partnership carried on for 2 years, and I think was one of the best things that we did from a branding perspective. Really put Vistara, on the map, and made people realize just what a classy and stylish and differentiated airline we were. The second campaign, of course, at Vistara that created some stir was when we got our first Neo aircraft, a VTTNB, and we put the big sticker or decal on the side, not just another Neo, hashtag not just another Neo, and we started a campaign around that. Some people misunderstood this campaign, thinking we were talking about the engines because we had the CFM engines, not the Pratt engines, but actually the purpose of this campaign was something different. All the previous Neos that had arrived, a couple of other airlines had brought Neos into the fleet by that time. The passenger could not tell the difference once you got into the aircraft. It was exactly the same as a CO, the same seat, same color, same everything. But we had actually invested in a new product on the Neos compared to the COs. Seat models were different, the color scheme was different, we had put in mood lighting, and done various other little tweaks. We even changed the legroom here and there, fixed some bugs. And those who stepped into the Neo knew straight away that this was not the CO. They knew that there was a special, different aircraft, and that is what we try to project with not just another Neo. Again, with the Neos, we also really took our in-flight, the boarding and landing music to a different level, combined it with the mood lighting, etc., to create a very clubby, friendly, warm atmosphere inside the cabin, and that really was a big hit with the target segment, which was the corporates who grew up in the 70s, and this is the kind of music they might have heard in school and college, 70s and 80s. So, not just another Neo was number 3 very special memory from the Vistara days. Number four, of course, is the you know very highly talked about retrojet, along with the retro uniform. The retrojet was designed to was developed to pay homage to J.R.D. Tata, the father of Indian aviation. There's been no one like him before or since in Indian aviation, and Vistara was proud to have him as part of our legacy, and we wanted to claim that legacy that the original Tata Airlines is now Vistara. So we painted the aircraft in what we thought were the colors of the original Tata Airlines, because we never saw a color picture. No one has a color picture. So we put slightly gold, paint on the body, and we used red and gray cheat lines, and we tried to replicate the DC-3 livery as closely as possible. And it really turned out to be a huge hit. It became the most photographed aircraft in India. So first it was Red Chili, the SpiceJet aircraft, and then it became the Retrojet VT-ATV. And we also took the registration VT-ATV from one of the original Tata Airlines DC-3 aircraft. That registration had been retired, and after a period of time, retired registration can be reused. So we applied and we reused the livery. So again, that's something that I'm personally very proud of. And interestingly, the same team that had, or much of the same team that had put together Red Chili, that SpiceJet with all our hot aircraft, also worked on VT-ATV, the Vistara Retrojet. What made the Retrojet even more special was the retro uniform. And this was a surprise. We hadn't revealed this to too many people at all. And really, the retro uniform took it to a different level, because the uniform harked back to the glory days of flying of the 50s and 60s, when people used to look forward to flying. The concept for the uniform was designed largely in-house. The brief that was given to our designer, Lekone Hemant, was that take a look at this set of 10 or 12 retro uniforms from the past, and also take a look at this half a dozen pictures of Jackie Kennedy, and come up with something basis, these reference images. And the colors were suggested by us as being very soft and evocative of a previous time, the light lilac and the light pink. And what turned out was a hit. A lot of work went into it. Initially there were black shoes which changed into white. There were meant to be white gloves. We got rid of the gloves, and so on and so forth. But the combination of the retro aircraft, retro livery, and the retro uniform in what we call the retro flights really turned out to be a huge hit. The amount of marketing mileage it got Vistara, amount of media coverage, was worth many times the investment that went into it. And people would feel that this was a different flight when they boarded the aircraft and saw the retro crew and saw the livery. We used to board the aircraft as far as possible from bus gates, so people would see the whole aircraft as they go up the stairs. And the crew were excited, the passengers were excited, and the entire feeling was, wow, flying is something you can look forward to again. Finally, the two more special memories I'd like to end with about Vistara was how there's a cross-functional team that put together the international network and fleet plan. A lot of effort went into that. Unfortunately, things are slowed down now because of COVID. But the kind of effort, the kind of analysis, the kind of rigor that went into that is something I'm particularly proud of. We broke the mold, did not want to go using traditional means of designing networks or assessing potential for new routes. We took many different innovative approaches towards coming up with what we want, and we also decided the fleet that would serve the network as a result of what that final network would look like. So the Boeing 787 and the A321 aircraft were the result of the network that we came up with. And the 787 is the last thing I would like to talk about. The team that worked on that really worked very hard to put together not only the most efficient layout of seats. We've got 299 seats in 3 classes, and on 787-9 it is the most efficient LOPA, or layout of passenger amenities, LOPA, that I've seen on a 787. 3 classes, full flat, direct aisle access in business class, and colors which are warm, soothing, innovative, striking, and different. When you step into this aircraft, it just feels different. It doesn't feel like a standard 787 of some other airline. And again, with the mood lighting and the music and everything else, the experience really promises to be different. Sad to say, personally, I've not flown it yet because it only flew once before the lockdown started. But I'm looking forward to flying it. I consider it one of my babies, and I will report on it once I fly it. But everything I've heard, people are really excited, staff are really excited, and that's a great legacy to look back on. So again, 10 good memories, special memories from my years in Indian aviation as SpiceJet and Vistara. Just a couple of thoughts on the situation the aviation industry finds itself in today. I get a lot of messages from people who want to join the industry or who have been or leave without pay or laid off. And obviously, there's a lot of stress, a lot of nervousness, and they keep asking that, what's going to happen. I wish I knew the answer. Nobody knows how long it's going to take for things to return to normalcy. But I think it's safe to assume that for the next 1 year, things are going to be tough. I think networks are going to be smaller, and the number of people required, to do the job is going to be less. I see my hair flying around, and I have some hair still. That's great. So people just have to be patient. They have to treat this as a once in a millennium occurrence, and not have unrealistic hopes of things getting back to normal anytime soon. There will be pay cuts. There may be job reductions. India, so far, we've not seen as much for the most part as we've seen in other parts of the world. But I think it is inevitable there will be more pain. So we just have to suck it up. Those of us who've chosen to be in aviation have done it for the love of aviation. Now, this is a tough love situation where the industry is going through a lot of pain. If you love it, we just have to find something to do in the meantime until things start returning to normal. And those who are passionate and committed can always find their way back to the industry. So tough, very, very, difficult situation. But hopefully, few months, up to a year, and then things will be back towards normal. I don't think demand will return to what it was last year, maybe for a couple of years. But after that, it should get back to normal. Growth should resume. So hang in there. I wish you all the best, and thanks for viewing this rather lengthy episode with me, my special 50th episode. And see you again next episode. Take care.